test, 1, 2, test. Mic test, 1, 2, test. Mic test. Hello. Mic test. Mic test. 1, 2, 3. Mic test. Mic test. 1, 2, 3. Mic. I press 1, 2, 3.
checking regarding the audio and video on at 7:40. I hope you can wait. Thank you. Good evening to Mr. Faiz, Mr. Azman, and also Mr. Rahman. So I am Nurul Waiza binti Masfurdin, and I'm from the technical team. And right now, I will be assisting with the camera and audio checks before we begin our live session. Good evening to Miss Anum and also Miss. Alright, so right now we are going to have camera and audio checks before we begin our live session. So I hope that can everyone turn on your camera. So I want to check. So can we start with Miss Azman? Can you try? Or you want me?
Yes. Is it
All right. All right.
Good evening, everyone. May we kindly have your attention, please? Dear panelists, do make yourselves comfortable and ensure your video and audio settings are in order as we are about to begin with our program. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to our audience joining us live on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for being part of this event. Before we begin, I would like to announce a few housekeeping matters to ensure a smooth session. To our panelists, first, please keep your microphones muted when you're not speaking in order to minimize background noises and distractions. Second, please turn on your camera throughout the whole session. If you encounter any technical issues, feel free to reach out via the chat or raise the hand feature. To our audience, we will display a QR code of attendance and feedback form, which will be available for only 10 minutes. In addition, make sure you capture a screenshot during the program as proof to upload in the form. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin with our program, allow me to announce a few housekeeping matters to ensure a smooth session for all. To our panelists, first, please keep your microphones muted when you're not speaking in order to minimize background noises and distractions. Second, please make sure your camera is on throughout the whole session. If you encounter any technical issues, feel free to reach out via the chat or raise the hand feature. To our audience, we will display a QR code of attendance and feedback form, which will be displayed for only 10 minutes. In addition, make sure you capture a screenshot during the program as proof of attendance that will be uploaded in the form. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and salam biru warna. I am Muhammad Haikal bin Muhammad Fuad, your MC for today's program. It is an honor to have all of you with us here on this auspicious day. We really appreciate you for taking your time out of your busy schedules to be here. Welcome to the Voices of Youth Perspectives on Global Economic Shifts, conducted by the Northern Varsity Accounting Club, Tunku Putri Intan Sapinas School of Accountancy, Novac-Tissa of University Utara Malaysia. Tonight, we are honored to have panelists from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and our respected observers, Associate Professor Dr. Azharuddin bin Ali and Dr. Muhammad Hari bin Muhammad Nasir. Additionally, we would like to welcome our respected club advisor, Dr. Harith bin Zahrul Laili, followed by the president of Novac-Tissa Club, Ms. Nur Azah binti Muhammad Fuad, as well as the program director, Ms. Aisyah binti Nur Akbar, along with all committee members, students who are here today. Thank you all for joining us. Before we begin, we will now proceed with the singing of the national anthem Negaraku and the university anthem Biru Warna.
Insan Tuhan membara langit biru mencari ilmu berteman kebudimanan bina nusa bina dunia sejahtera. Uni utama ibu yang tercinta, kami doa lanjut usia bahagia. Kami janji hormati pesanmu, ilmu budi dan bakti. Kami anak alam insan Tuhan, membara langit biru mencari ilmu, berteman kebudimanan, bina nusa bina dunia sejahtera. Bumi utama ibu yang tercinta, kami doa lanjut usia bahagia. Kami janji hormati pesanmu, ilmu budi dan bakti. Ilmu budi dan bakti.
recitation. Allow me to invite Mr. Ahmad Zarif Adam to recite the dua.
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, Ya Rahim. Praise to the God, Lord of the words, peace and blessing be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, and for those who follow his example till the judgment day. Allahumma ya Allah, on the blessing night, in conjunction the voice of your perspective on global economic shift, we beseech and grateful towards you in favor of all the infinite blessing to us, your humble servant, to the life in safe and a prosperous life. Ya Latif, Ya Rahman, please be your taufiq and hidayah. Please guide University Utara Malaysia and the whole Malaysia to greatness, peace, glory and prosperity in the world and the hereafter. Make us a responsible intellectual, grade us with the value knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your mardatillah. Ya Munzil al-Barakat, bestow peace to our beloved country Malaysia. Preserve us from any threats and disaster, neither man-made nor nature disaster. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you to Mr. Zarif for the dua recitation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Voices of Youth, Perspectives on Global Economic Shifts. Today, we gather young minds from Malaysia and Indonesia, not just to speak, but to be heard of. In a world where economies are transforming, markets are evolving, and new challenges are emerging, your voices matter more than ever. This platform serves as a space for bold ideas, fresh perspectives, and meaningful dialogue on key issues such as employment, sustainability, digital transformation, and much more, all viewed through the lens of the youth. Thank you for being here. Now, let's begin this journey together. Of Voices of Youth, Perspectives on Global Economic Shifts, Ms. Aisha binti Nur Akbar to say a few words.
Test. Alright, okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everyone. To our respected observers, Associate Professor Dr. Azharuddin bin Ali and Dr. Muhammad Harry bin Muhammad Nasir, our Novac-Tissa advisor, Dr. Harith bin Zahrul Laili, President of Novac-Tissa, Ms. Nur Azah binti Muhammad Puad, our dedicated organizing committee, and all viewers joining us through our streaming platforms. Welcome and thank you so much for being here with us today. And also thanks to our MC, Mr. Haikal, for guiding today's program. To our distinguished panelists, thank you sincerely for accepting our invitation and dedicating your valuable time for this event. Your willingness to share insights will definitely enrich this discussion immensely. We deeply appreciate your commitment to representing youth voices. We had also planned to welcome a representative from Thailand who unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, could not join us at the last minute. Nevertheless, we are proud of the strong regional representation gathered here today. It is with great honor and excitement that I welcome you as the director of this international roundtable discussion, Voices of Youth, Perspective on Global Economic Shift. The idea for this event was sparked after I had the privilege of being invited to a high tea session with Professor Dr. Ahmad Martada, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs and Alumni at UUM. That moment reminded me how important it is for young people to be in rooms where big conversations happen. In reflecting on the many events held across UUM, I noticed that while we excel in academic, cultural, and leadership platforms, there remains a gap in conversations that tackle real-time global economic issues. And as youth, as the next generation of leaders and change makers, that's a gap we can no longer afford to ignore. And this roundtable discussion was one from that very realization. And it is not just another event, it is a space for youth, by youth, a platform where our voices filled with passion, knowledge, and vision are heard and respected. While I have the role of leading this event, I am equally here as a learner to listen, to engage, and also to grow from this shared experience. I hope this space encourage all of us to challenge ideas, spark new thinking, and most of all, realize that we, the youth, have the power to shape the economic narrative of our time. And yeah, I guess that concludes my opening remarks. Thank you once again to everyone who has contributed to making this event possible. And I look forward to a meaningful and engaging discussion ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Aisha. Before we begin with our session, our distinguished panelists and respected observers who have joined us today, we are pleased to present the esteemed lineup of panelists who will be joining us for this evening's roundtable discussion. Each of them brings a wealth of knowledge, diverse perspectives, and valuable experiences that will greatly contribute to the depth and quality of this discussion. First of all, let us welcome our panelists from Malaysia. Introducing our lead panelist, Ms. Siti Aisyah binti Kamaruddin, currently pursuing Bachelor's of Business Administration, specializing in logistics and transportation with honors in University Utara Malaysia. She currently holds the position as Student Representative Council of University Utara Malaysia, or also known as MPP UUM. Ms. Aisyah has demonstrated outstanding leadership through her involvement in various university, state, and international level initiatives. Her achievements include being recognized as one of the top 5 participants in the Dell Business Challenge 2025 and receiving lifetime membership in the prestigious Beta Gamma Sigma Honor Society. Welcoming our next panelist, Mr. Muhammad Haziq bin Muhammad Asri, a Master of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering at the prestigious University of Southampton, United Kingdom. Specializing in sustainable energy systems, Mr. Haziq is currently involved in a cutting-edge research project developing hydrogen leak detection using chemical-based dyes, a testament to his commitment to clean energy solutions. Our next panelist, Mr. Muhammad Hazman bin Muhammad Noor, currently pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Accounting and Finance at the University of Manchester. Mr. Hazman is also the co-founder and analyst of the Cantor Capital Club, where he contributes to stock picking and investment research. Through this role, he has helped cultivate a strong culture of financial literacy and analytical thinking within the student investment community. He currently serves as the president of the Malaysian community of Old Trafford, managing 21 communities, supporting over 800 Malaysians, and leading initiatives in welfare, academics, and career development to enhance engagement. Moving on to our fourth panelist, Mr. Muhammad Mustaqim bin Suharto, currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Economics with honors at University Utara Malaysia. He is passionate about learning and evolving professionally. From leading as president of Inasis Bank Islam SLDC to being appointed director of the Inasis Global Festival 2024, Mr. Mustaqim has consistently shown initiative and the ability to bring people together. His leadership was further recognized when he was entrusted as president of the SLDC for 2 consecutive terms and chairman of the Global Student Residential Council Summit 2024. Now, our fifth panelist, Mr. Muhammad Faris bin Ahmad Faiz, graduated with a Bachelor of Computer Science from the University of Malaya. He is dedicated to pioneering AI research and is best known as the founder of Ajas Resume website, which generates ATS-friendly resumes that HR professionals love, guaranteeing you an interview by simply uploading your original resume. Beyond that, his excellence is evident in cutting-edge projects, including a passport photo checker using YOLO V11 and OpenCV, a natural language to SQL query generator built with LangChain, and a building obsolescence predictor developed in collaboration with the Minister of Finance, utilizing Hugging Face models and Next.js for real-world deployments. Now, we move over to introduce our Indonesian counterparts. We begin with Mr. Muhammad Izzuddin Al-Haq, an ambitious and global-minded individual pursuing international affairs management at University Utara Malaysia, where he maintains an impressive academic record. He also focused testing 1, 2, 3. I apologize for the technical issue. Now, moving on to our next panelist, Ms. Anum Intan Maulidi, currently pursuing bachelor's degree in international relations at President University and holds an associate diploma in finance and taxation from Stan Polytechnic of State Finance. Ms. Anum is also a dedicated civil servant from Indonesia's Ministry of Finance. Currently serving in the Directorate General of Taxes, a YCD Professional Fellows Program awardee, she volunteers with the United Nations on social media for sustainability and has published several articles. Moving on to our eighth panelist, Mr. Rahmat Fadilah Akbar, a student Bachelor of Creative Industry Management from University Utara Malaysia. Currently in his penultimate year, Mr. Rahmat has consistently demonstrated academic excellence by being recognized among the top 2 most outstanding students in his facility. He has also shown strong leadership and creativity through his involvement in over 50 events across university, national, and international levels. Notably, he was awarded first place in the Best Young Consultant category at the PUNB Social Entrepreneurship Uni Challenge 2024. Mr. Rahmat currently serves as the president of Northlands PPI UUM and has successfully led large-scale programs such as Festival Apresiasi Seni Skimpa 2024 and Pesta Rakyat Indonesia 2024. We regret to inform you that our panelist from Thailand is unable to join today's discussion due to unforeseen circumstances. We kindly seek your understanding regarding this matter and appreciate your continued support for this session. Now, this concludes the list of panelists for our event tonight. Let us move on of honoring and introducing our distinguished observers for this evening. Both are esteemed senior lecturers from the Tunku Putri Intan Safinah School of Accountancy at University Utara Malaysia. Welcoming our first observer, Associate Professor Dr. Azharuddin bin Ali. He obtained his PhD in Management Internal Audit from Aston University in 2016, MSc in Internal Auditing and Management from City University London in 2001, and Bachelor degree in Accounting from University Utara Malaysia in 1998. He started his duties at University Utara Malaysia as a tutor in August 1999 and was appointed as a lecturer in December 2001. Since then, he has been involved in several accounting and internal auditing consultancy projects, such as training and development of internal audit function in Amanah Ikhtiar Malaysia and internal audit functions of Aceh Province in Indonesia. Following that, we are pleased to welcome our second observer, Dr. Muhammad Hadi bin Muhammad Nasir. He holds a PhD in Financial Accounting, an MBA, and Bachelor's in Accounting from University Utara Malaysia, with over 20 years of experience in academia and industry. His expertise include corporate social responsibility, accounting information system, financial reporting, and system development. He has served as General Manager, Head of Operations, and Head of Finance and Administration at Uni Utama Education and Consultancy Sendirian Berhad. Dr. Hari has received multiple awards, including the Outer Count Excellent Education Partner Award and Best Publication. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the roundtable discussion titled Voices of Youth, Perspectives on Global Economic Shifts. We are truly honored to have student voices from across countries to join us here today to share challenge ideas, and offer fresh perspectives on one of the most pressing issues of our time, which is the ever-evolving global economy. Therefore, I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Siti Aisyah binti Kamaluddin to lead the discussion.
Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening I bid to all, dear observers, panels, as well as our dedicated committees for today. All right, so salam berwarna from us in University of Malaysia, especially to all panelists dedicated to be with us today. Okay, as stated, today's agenda would be a roundtable discussion among the youth or the youth leaders or young leaders we have here with us today from Malaysia and Indonesia especially. So let me introduce myself first. I am Siti Aisyah binti Kamaluddin, one of the Student Representative Council from University of Malaysia, and will be presenting UUM for this discussion, as well as with my peers who are also from UUM as well, that is present today as panels, as well as those who may be participants or viewers of the roundtable discussion. Okay. Okay, I think we can continue with a little bit of ice-breaking session. Are our panelists doing good tonight? Are you guys ready for today's RTD?
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. What about the others? You guys doing good? All right, okay. Can we begin? Okay. All right. Okay. As the objective goals for today's RTD would be raising awareness among the youth, especially empowering youth leadership and advocacy towards regional bonds, as well as driving action towards sustainability. We hope that today's RTD, even though we want to be on a laid-back tempo as well, we would also love for today's RTD to be gaining or to be delivering as much insights among our peers who will be participating or viewing our RTD. So the discussion will be opening with, I would love to open the floor to any of our panels who would maybe lead us through what has been happening on our global economy, especially what has been the impact on the implementation of US tariffs, as well as what has been the impacts on Malaysia and Indonesia on what has been ruled or announced by Trump economy. Anyone wants to take the floor? Maybe from Malaysia or Indonesian perspectives, or maybe you want to go through what has been the view among the youth among your circle. Anyone would love to take the floor?
I think I'll take a floor regarding the Trump first. Yeah.
All right. Please share.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. It'll be briefly about the background on the Trump itself. Understanding the tariff itself, we have to know for a fact that it has been applied not only during the first tenure of Trump as a president of the US, it was applied during his first tenure back then when he was the president in 2016, not only now in the past few months. During his campaign promotion, he did say to make America great again. The quoted says that what he said last time, America doesn't win anymore. We lost to China, we lost to Mexico, we lost to everybody. And then what he meant from that is, what's his POV from that is that he sees that US, in his views, had let the other countries take advantage of it through unfair trade deals and cheap imports, which allows American manufacturing, to be decreasing in terms of their opportunities of job opportunities in terms of manufacturing industries. And I can see that Trump has seen this tariff as not just a weapon, and not just a tool. Unlike the
Yeah.
past presidents who saw tariff as a last resort, Trump treated tariff as a weapon. Trade wars are good and easy to win. That's what he quoted in 2018. And how it worked is that after the quote, he imposed 25% tariff on steel and 10% on aluminum. Historically supported free trade. But Trump wasn't a traditional Republican. He broke party norms. We've been sold out by our leaders. I'll be the first to stand up to China. That's what Trump quoted last time. And instead of promoting global trade like past presidents, because we all know the fact that Republican has always been champions of free trade, he appealed to working class Americans in Rust Belt states like Ohio or Michigan who had lost jobs due to factory closures and offshoring. And that's why Trump idea is to impose tariff, and hence from imposing the tariff, he'll be sort of like championing local goods and local products and prioritizing Americans first. Yeah, that's just the background about Trump. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. That was actually a fruitful opening for today's RTD because as known actually among like if we are to read the publics or like the reports and all of that, they have been reports regarding Trump's strategy in wanting to win over manufacturing sector once again. So thank you, Haziq, for the inputs actually. Maybe other panelists would love to add on more infos or more inputs. Just like, let's just start with a little timeline. What has been going on? Anyone would love to take the floor?
I think I'd like to give some input on the side of tech on Trump's tariff war. I was for the current trade war right now, on the side of tech, a lot of the things that is happening is quite affected. So in the tech world, as you know, nowadays it's very much Gen AI, LLMs, and all that, right? So it comes from a history of the company called Nvidia. They gatekept the technology that accelerated a lot on the AI technology behind a garden wall, and that technology is called CUDA. So a lot of the AI tech nowadays is powered by this specific framework called CUDA, and that is developed by Nvidia. So with this in mind, a lot of the tech in the world, including China and everything, we all rely on this specific technology. And as you may know, this tech comes from from America. So with that in mind, recently Trump banned the export of Nvidia chips to China and all that. But despite that, China still managed to get a lot of the cards from Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Malaysia, and only recently the Trump administration actually called upon Malaysia to stifle the exports of Nvidia chips to China because they want to stop China from advancing in AI despite the difficulties faced. So my main point is that on the tech side, from the tariffs that is imposed on China, like insane tariffs, because Trump wants to tackle China, it has affected the entire world. Because when you think about it, when you manufacture chips, when you manufacture graphics cards or like tech hardware, it is actually a combined set of components. For example, you have resistors, you have transistors. These things make up a graphics card. And a report made by a popular YouTube channel, I think it's called Gamers Nexus, where they do independent journalism in tech, actually interviewed a lot of the chip makers and vendors in the tech background or in the tech scene about how the Trump tariffs affected them. And weirdly enough, a lot of the tech vendors in America, which is based in America. So for example, you have like a PC, right? You have the case. So one case manufacturer actually agreed to have an interview with them to discuss about this. And they actually concluded, okay, this is one of the many vendors in the tech. They actually concluded that doing business in America itself is unsustainable at all costs because of the tariffs. So what they found out is that they actually get more profit and more profit basically operating outside of America, because at the end of the day, the transistors, the resistors all come from China. And because of these tariffs, these people are discouraged to even do business in America, which is kind of counterintuitive to what Trump actually wanted to do, which is, promoting local economy. So, Americans on social media, they all complain, especially gamers and AI researchers, they are all affected by these Trump tariffs. It is sort of like there's a lot of components that are playing to the story, but basically that is what's happening in the tech scene nowadays. So yeah, that's just my input on this discussion.
Right. All right. Thank you for this. That's a view from the tech line or tech industry. Okay, this is actually quite, if I were to say, like coming from my perspective or what has been discussing among like the circles that I have been in, tech, especially, we haven't really been discussing much on what has been a sustainable approach for America to actually be the manufacturing site for tech industries. And when if I were to quote, doing business in America is not sustainable, especially for among the tech vendors, is actually for me quite a light for the ASEAN countries or the Asian countries for us to actually go forefront and dominate the tech industry as well. We actually have, if I were to say, a chance to actually be the leading regions, if I were to say, in this area. That's if I were to say from what I've been listening to the sharing from Faris. It's actually quite an interesting fact. Maybe like we have been looking on like what has been the timeline, and then as well as the development or what has been going on in the tech industry as well. Maybe any representatives from Indonesia? Anyone would love to share on what has been the impact of these tariffs implementation in Indonesia itself?
Is it possible? Okay, can you hear me? So thank you very much for the opportunity here. So would like to start with the what we call I think in my really humble opinion that the tariff itself is immature policy imposed by US, because as we can see over here, of course, going back to the timeline, Indonesia and Malaysia got tariff by the US. However, comparing with the China, it's approached 100%. But within recent times, US president stated that they do not want to impose it anymore. So I think I do not want. There is still kind of imbalance in here. Why America put or maybe eradicate the tariff imposed, but still US and Malaysia still got the imposed for the tariff itself. So my opinion in here, the tariff imposed by President Trump is still do not have any proper agenda, but still only threatening. Only threatening. If you do not follow us, then you're gonna get the we will see later. But however, there are some of countries that retaliate, and still I cannot see anything regarding what could happen regarding in Indonesia later. But well, what I can see here, people are suffering, of course, economically, Indonesia and Malaysia as well. But looking to the tariff policy here by Trump, it's very, very immature, and as well it's premature. Premature. There's no further implication that maybe Trump should be aware of.
All right. Thank you, Izzuddin. It's quite a view, premature policy by US, because like from what I've been hearing, Trump is a businessman. He plays with what he has best as a weapon, like what has been shared by our other panelists earlier. And if I were to say, even though we are actually still in a negotiation phase, the 19 days what do you call that announcement by Trump, we are actually having to use whatever resources or time we have to actually, like, some of the I would say businessmen or like fields are actually taking advantage of the 90 days negotiation phase to really capitalize their profits in this matter, because we never know what's gonna be the end term, or like what's gonna be the end deal. So truly, we hope for Malaysia and Indonesia to come to great terms and beneficial terms with the US, as well as we can actually have a great potential to be maybe the next European region, because ASEAN or Asia is we actually quite have a strong bond, and we also have great resources. Maybe we can also be leading the economy, the world economy one day. So that's another perspective. So maybe again, still, because we really want this RTD for the first session to be like going through the timeline, going through what has been effect in terms of like in each country, Malaysia and Indonesia, and then maybe you guys wanna like touch on a smaller scope, maybe on the youth, maybe on the silver economy. So anyone has insights for us to like discuss more on in this RTD? Maybe Mustaqim or maybe Miss Anup Intan.
Alright. Yes, I continue the discussion on.
Right.
As for me, I have some. I actually agree what Izzuddin quoted just now. It's it's a premature idea of Trump actually imposing the tariff. As for me, I see it as a political gimmick for him. As for now, as we know, he just won the election and stuff. So for an instant, he need an issue, or he need an action that shows that he actually really care for US. He trying to be the hero of the people in just one night. So as for him using tariff as a war, we show that how he actually trying to revive the manufacturing sector of US itself. So by then, the people of US itself, to be said, those who gonna be brainwashed that, oh, he actually trying to help US better to decrease the trade deficits that's actually be happening. That's why if we see the tariff list of Trump's, we can see that he imposed most tariff to China and Europe. Why? Because from both of this country is actually making US trade a deficit trade. So that's the first one I will say is just he imposed it without even having a second or third long thoughts, just to become a hero of people, a political gimmick, and also so that he can block whatever China evolving right now. As we know, China is actually emerging with a lot of new tech brand. Somehow, if we see right now, few of its, just let us take just a simple example, smartphones. Smartphones that have been produced by China locally brands such as Xiaomi, Realme, all of this tech is actually up to date to an iPhone right now. Why? They are actually trying to fight all over. And all of these smartphones is actually, we can get it much more cheaper than the iPhone itself. If you want to see at a smaller scope, just a smartphone that we all have. So that's the first. So China is actually declaring a war there, the trade war, obviously, by the tariff. But somehow, I will say, by him doing this premature decision, is actually opening up door for Southeast Asian. Why? I've been seeing declination in China FDI, foreign direct investment to China, and all the investors are actually directing their investment to Southeast Asia. Why? Because as to say, Malaysia itself, we can produce and we can supply semiconductors for the world. So somehow all these investors are much more interested in Southeast Asia. So as for me, I will see it as an opportunity for us here at the Southeast Asia. That's what I had to say for now.
All right. Thank you, Mustaqim. Again, political gimmick, winning the people's heart is actually one of the good perspectives if we were to look at in terms of the political game. Because all in all, again, Trump is a businessman, Trump is a politician, and in a way, it is a childish play because he is mainly aiming his war trade game on like countries like China, especially. So if these games keep going on, even though like the latest news would be for the International Court of Trade, they are blocking Trump's tariffs for the moment. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the latest news I've heard on this matter is that the International Court is intending to block some of the tariffs because he is exceeding his position in terms of playing the global economy, because this has been impacting a lot of other countries as well, not in a good way. Though it also opened opportunities, like what has been Mustaqim saying. It also opens opportunities for Asian countries, ASEAN countries, to actually go for front and lead the global economy. And maybe we can find more potentials in the business industries that has been, maybe we have been in the behind stories before. Maybe after this we can actually lead the global game. All right, that has been some of the views on political tech, as well as a general overview of the timeline. Again, I would still love to see if there are any of our panels who maybe wanna counter some points, or maybe you guys wanna add on to the points or discussions that has been pointed out. Like I said, it has been a discussion on tech. It has been a discussion on a political game, business approaches, as well as childish play. Maybe other perspectives. Maybe on youth. What has been the concerning parts or concerns of the youth today, especially from us, Malaysia and Indonesia? What has been maybe in your university or among your friends? What is actually the concern? Because like if I were to add, some of us might be concerning on, do we actually still have a promising future ahead? Because especially us, those who are still pursuing our studies and undergraduates or even masters, we really want to achieve our dream job or like the dream goal. And some would maybe consider multinational companies, right? So some do concern on, do they still have a future in these related fields? So like, what about you guys? What has been concern of our peers from Malaysia and Indonesia?
I'd like to contribute to this. So since you really want to emphasize on the youth side, right? So I recently graduated. So right now So I have a lot of peers trying to find jobs and everything lah. So a lot of the local companies like GLCs and SMEs, they are hiring, but they're not really mass hiring. But MNCs are usually the go-to like places lah to be hired as a fresh graduate from from University Malaya. So I did my internship in Dell Technologies, but unfortunately I was not able to get an offer as a full-time employee due to reasons lah. But I could foresee at the fact that a lot of the MNCs that is based from America, that they set up base in Malaysia, they have huge downsizing efforts, because I see on LinkedIn a lot of people who are working at MNCs, they were recently laid off. Like I think it's a very surprising amount. If you see on like a statistic on like on social media or something like that, you recently saw like IBM laid off almost like 80,000 people just so that they can automate a lot of these repetitive tasks. Microsoft recently also laid off a lot of people, but then recently rehired a lot of people because they fired people, they laid off people because they want to automate things using AI. But in the end, they rehired people to manage the AI. But you see, in the American landscape, they from my naive, shallow understanding, in America, it is not where the layoff happens. It is on the other places. Like for example, Dell Malaysia, IBM Malaysia. These are where the layoffs happen. So indirectly, us as youth, our job opportunities get affected severely. I also was quite one of the few lucky ones that managed to get a job after maybe 2 months or so of graduating. But a lot of my peers are still unemployed. And yeah, a major factor is because of the tariffs lah. From what I can understand, because a lot of the people in UM, they mostly did their internship in their MNCs lah. Yeah, sure, husband, go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Hazman. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I like when Faris talk about the youth like the concerns of youth towards the future, right? Like people are being laid off at the same time, people are being hired again, and then well, luckily for you, that after 2 months you get a job, right? So it is true in a sense that recently in the UK we had our career fair. So I get to talk to a lot of the HRs and everything, right? And we also get to go to like engagement session and everything. So through these sessions, right, when I talk to them, like personally with them, they said that since a lot of things are going to be automated, they need less people. And what they actually look for in graduates, especially like because right now we are like in accounting. I hope everyone here is like in accounting background. So they look forward for someone not only has the accounting skill, but also together with like a software or like hard skills. Like if you can use Power BI, for example, if you can automate your accounting skills, if you can use Python, if you can do programming. So that is the added value that these companies are looking forward when it comes to graduates. So in my point of view, or my suggestion, hopefully to everyone here, is that if you have time, you can do like online courses to learn about like programming, to learn about automation in finance, and to just upskill yourself. Because as much as it is concerning, it is also an opportunity, because a lot of opportunities are being opened by like Malaysian company. If I were to give an example, Kazana has an initiative called K Youth, and they've recently opened this. I think about like early this week. So this K Youth is aimed to upskill students and to promote leadership among students as well. So I hope everyone here, if you have time, upskill yourself. Don't take this as an advantage, because obviously this is an opportunity for you to be better than others.
Yeah, I think right in Malaysia right now, sorry, I just wanted to finish and wrap up my point lah. Like I think a lot of the youth actually relied on MNCs to get like accelerated career paths. Like for example, a lot of my seniors they entered MNCs, multinational companies, to have a faster track in becoming a manager. So that becomes like a trend for the juniors lah, for myself. So now the MNCs aren't hiring. So then there's a sudden like increase in skills and unemployed people that SMEs and GLCs and even startups have to hire. And a lot of my peers, including myself, even though I'm already employed, see the need that we need to start employing people locally. So like for myself, I created a startup. So I try to get people on board. I create job opportunities for them. And I noticed that within my batch as well, a lot more people are more inclined to create a startup. Not necessarily because they want to create opportunities for local people, but more towards the fact that they can't be hired. So it is sort of like a indirect noble cause where they create these startups and indirectly, contribute to the local economy and then make it so that a lot of these talents that don't get hired end up being in a company that they really feel like they can contribute a lot to lah. So yeah, that's me wrapping up my point.
All right. Thank you to Hazman and Faris. Actually, these two has been like really active in giving out new points, and I really love to hear about them. And like in terms of upskilling, especially like in University of Malaysia, a lot of us are emphasized or given the, if I were to say, awareness to actually upskill, because as the point given by Hazman, if I'm not mistaken, right, from like the Hazanah, they do offer the KU program, and it was promoted in University of Malaysia, and a lot of UM students actually applied. So I do hope like our peers keep on like contributing our efforts to actually upskill ourselves, and also improving our knowledge, because knowledge is something like original ideas. It's not something that can be replaced. And even though we do have AI, even though like we have automated initiatives to actually or efficient to improve efficiency in terms of repetitive work, we actually still need original ideas. So improving our knowledge as well as upskilling is actually the best initiative for us fresh graduates. Yes, it's going to be tough. Yes, it's going to be competitive, but I do believe that we still have a chance. Okay, I think that's like one of the greatest like points for us to take out like from that small discussion. So if I were to say, can I like also invite Miss Anum or Mr. Rahmat to also join the discussion?
Yes, sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Good night. My name is Samafdil Akbar, and I would like to add on just a little bit more about what has this in for us as a young generation in this era, in this digitalized era. So what happens right now in Indonesia? So one of the China premiers, Li Qiang, he visited Jakarta in 25 May 2025, a few weeks ago. And Jakarta actually signed some agreements towards the China 5 Pillars Cooperation, which were digital economy, and then AI, new energy, semiconductors, and then aerospace, and also maritime security, if I'm not mistaken. And well, they also included the universities, especially the public ones, such as the University of Indonesia, and then the Bandung Institute of Technology, and also ITS in Java Island also. Yeah. So actually, what are they going to do with these universities? Yeah, they want to launch a semiconductor curricula with the Chinese and also Western partners, and they will train around 500 specialized engineers, yeah, in 2025. So it's an increase, a potential increase, around 300 potential engineers from the past year. So what I want to highlight is that yes, education is truly an important factor for us to grow in this economy. And yes, we still have a chance if we want to try, and we are fully supported in this digitalized era, because yes, it's not enough to just master our own field. What are we learning in the university or in the class? Yeah, we have so much more to explore, especially in more digitalized factor. One of the example that I had, I'm right now currently doing my final year project, and my final year project is kind of a 3D animation, but what the lecturer wants us to do is to explore many options to generate and also to explore the way that we can manipulate things, or the way that we can create or generate things into something that we really want. And instead of using the regular 3D modeling technique, I try to use Python to make my imaginations to come true as a 3D model. And yes, it works. Still need improvements, but yeah, it works. Yeah, the thing is, this kind of things is really a good highlight that we need to take note. And the government, Indonesian government, recently, back again, they also been doing some incentives or help to support our domestic economy, such as the 50% electricity bills discounts, and then the food discounts also for the lower income households, and so on. And one of the objective is to help the students to save more money and maybe to apply to digital courses and so on. So I think this is one of the factors that actually relates towards the education, because education is a strong foundational background that we have towards maximizing our economy and to be a strong stakeholder in this hard era, as the US tariffs war is currently happening with China and so on. So yeah, that's the points that I would like to add.
All right. Thank you, Rahmat. Actually, that is one of the like good insights that we are actually aiming to like hear from for the first session. We want to see like in like our respective countries what has been the government initiative, or like maybe among our citizens, our people, what has been our initiative to counter what has been the gameplay by the US. Because again, like for me, like if we were to look at countries like Japan or Korea, we actually have a lot, or like a very strong color in terms of like their cultures or what they like strong hold upon on. So I do believe that countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, we also can be a strong figure in these like business fields, because we also have a lot of potential. Malaysia is a multicultural country. Indonesia is very, very rich in culture, as well as like again the initiative by the government for from Indonesia is actually very good to enlighten the burden of the people there. 50% discounts on electricity is actually a very good initiative, because maybe like a lot of people has been concerning on what would be happening to them after 90 days. So that is like something that's good to know from like our side, especially the youth, because this could actually open eyes among us. And then like if you were to look like for me, for Mr. Hasman actually like said he hopes that a lot of the panels here are actually from accounting backgrounds, right? I am actually a student for BBA Logistics and Transportation, so like maybe it's another perspective. And like for me, what has been implemented or trained for us is that we do look at a lot of trend radars. Trend radars, like especially forecasted by DHL. So from there, we can actually see what is the business trends in 5 to 10 years time. So maybe those who may want to look at what would be demanded in 5 to 10 years time, you can actually see the logistic trend radar for 7.0. Yes, maybe it is mainly forecasted based on logistics industry, but it can actually be useful for other fields as well. So again, maybe like silver economy, ESG advocacy, sustainability, sustainable energy. Those are some of the demanding fields that will be in 5 to 10 years time. So again, that's gonna be for the first session. But again, just to like before wrapping up for the first session, anyone wants to add more points before maybe we take a rest after this?
I'd like to add more a bit about Indonesian perspective. So, yeah, I agree with Faiz. I mean, like the biggest concern of the youth in Indonesia is the job opportunity and job loss, of course. I would like to bring some data from the Indonesia's Ministry of Manpower of Indonesia. They recorded more than 20,000 textile workers laid off in the last year, and the textile industry is one of the most affected industry by the Trump reciprocal tariff. So, and this situation could get worse. A drop in demand puts extra pressure on labor-intensive industries, which may lead to more layoff. Meanwhile, in this position, the industry couldn't provide a better job opportunity for the youth. So that is the first problem in Indonesia. And we just held a job fair like recently, maybe a week ago, and there were more than 20,000 job seekers attended the job fair, while we only provide 3,000 job vacancies available on that job fair. So this is really a big concern of the youth of Indonesia. And I would like to put a bit counter to Rahmat statement about incentive. Yes, the government of Indonesia is very, very generous for giving the incentive to the youth of Indonesia. For example, they give something like a coupon so that the youth can access the e-course or something like that, so that the youth can develop themselves and something like that. But the most important for me is not the coupon or the incentive, you know. The most important for me is the government should fix the root cause problem. And this is not haven't been done clearly by the government of Indonesia. So even though Indonesia is predicted having a growing fast digital economy with predictions that it could reach over 130 billion US dollar by 2025, but we have one major challenge we face: the growing gap between the skills of our workers and the modern industries, especially high-tech ones, actually need. So without enough people with the right skills, the growth of Indonesia's high-tech supply chain could be slowed down, you know. And this is especially concerning when we consider Indonesia's place in the region compared to our neighbors like the Malaysia or maybe Thailand. Indonesia has one of the lowest average salaries in Southeast Asia, on par with Vietnam and the Philippines. And according to international labor organizations, the average Indonesian worker earn much less than their counterparts in Thailand or Malaysia. As I said before, in my city, in one city in East Java. The average salary that earned by the worker is only 270 US dollar per month. And in a broader context, Indonesia's average salary ranks among the lowest in Asia, in the same tier as countries like Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. And this low wage level creates a strange situation, where we are not competitive enough in skills to attract high-tech investment, but we're also not offering a high-quality labor force despite our affordability. Countries like Vietnam, let's say, are quickly rising by offering both low-cost labor with strong vocational and technical education support. So this is what I meant. The government shouldn't only provide the incentive of the electricity discount, of the self-development class discount, and anything like that, but the government of Indonesia should be more focused on solving the root cause. Like, they have to have a strong curriculum on their vocational and technical education support, because not all young people in Indonesia can access the education as many other countries in ASEAN, and this solution is fair enough. I think it's not just only put Indonesian workers as a competitive worker in Southeast Asia or in ASEAN, but it's also can rise the average wage in Indonesia itself. So again, the problem is not providing the incentive, blah and blah, but the problem, the solution is to solve the root causes of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anumintan. Actually, a great perspective to be pointed out, because one thing I would, if I were to say, Rahman and Ms. Intan also pointed out one similar point, that quality education is important, then there is also a gap, and to which we hope for the government, maybe in both countries actually, to actually tighten the gap to access for quality education. I think Mr. Izzuddin also has a point to add on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, thank you very much, Aisha, actually. And also, Miss Anu, very, very well done spotlight over there. Since with the birth rate, or not birth rate, sorry, since the establishment of Indonesia, instead of providing a real high quality of education, Indonesia government always provided with the shortcut. They always want to give a product and not how to. So, well, of course, everybody is starving. If you look back to the theoretical political theory, if you want to support, I forgot who stated this, but I learned this in my political theory class. If you want to get people to support you in the government, just give anything. Just give what we call with very shortcut, like for example, cinema, maybe food, and so on and so forth, but not for education. Well, of course, incentive is very, very relatively possible to tackle in very short way. But however, we need a long-term initiative, such as very good one, well done education, and the systematic education as well. In terms of that, I do agree with the previous agreement with I think I forgot who stated this before. ASEAN is very, very competitive regional to learn a business. I'm very nervous because I'm studying in Malaysia here. Rather to establish a business, many MNCs going to ASEAN countries except Indonesia. They went to Vietnam, they went to Indonesia, they went to Thailand, but not Indonesia. So, well, I think first of all, Indonesia really needs to fix their own internal policy, and then we invite what we call with investor from regional abroad. And this is kind of strange as me as well. Of course, probably Mr. Rahmat no, or maybe Miss Anum draft as well. This what we call kabur aja dulu. So it's very, very. I do not want to say it's a good one, but how can be growing outside, going abroad is a last resort to get job opportunity. So in the meantime, we have our resources, mineral resources, and so on and so forth. We have our people resources as well, human resources. I mean, what I mean. So it's kind of melancholic, if I want to say, to witness the situation that we have in Indonesia here. So rather than offering a better opportunity to go to be working in our national level by strengthening the economic policy and so on and so forth, but people are going abroad to do the hard job in what we call with the mining, gardening, and as well factory. Well, I do not want to say it's a bad job, but however, how can it be the last resort for Indonesians to go abroad doing sort of that did not align with their professionality? So yeah, it's kind of very concerning as well. So well, of course, I think in ASEAN itself, I really need to establish what we call with a stable, a collective education system that could ranges that could touch in ASEAN level, where the mobility of workers and students is very, very easy. But we do not have it in our state yet. But it can be designed within 5 or maybe 10 years. Because I've been thinking a lot. Because we shared prosperity as well in ASEAN itself. But however, still looking back to the imbalance or maybe disparity in economic situation between each states in ASEAN, it still needs a lot of works to do. So I think that's my perspective.
Okay. Going abroad for better opportunities, for some it may be a dream, for some it may be the last resort. So for like in terms of the concern of being a last resort, that's actually a mutual concern of many actually, because we want a good compensated job. And as stated by Mustaqim before, actually a lot of investors are interested in C countries or Southeast Asian countries. Therefore, we actually really hope that Asia or Southeast Asian countries can actually be a hub of where we do attract a lot of foreign investors to our region and be a powerful region next south. I think that would be a wrap up for our first session before we take a break, and then you guys can like maybe chill up a bit and then drink some water. And again, thank you for the first session because it was fruitful. And I think we can gear up and then just like lay back a bit for the rest of like 5-minute break if I'm not mistaken, and then we'll continue. Thank you again to everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the first session of our roundtable discussion. Thank you to Ms. Siti Aisyah for leading the discussion, and might I say, what's an astonishing and remarkable roundtable discussion we've had so far. We will now take a short 5-minute break. Feel free to stretch your hands, refresh yourselves, and prepare for the next enriching part of our roundtable discussion. We look forward to continuing shortly with even more exciting perspectives from our panelists.
Eminent, credible, sustainable. A global revolution in a truly competitive millennium. Dedication and commitment are the essence in facing challenges and fulfill hopes. Intellectuals play the most significant role in the creation of frameworks for future sustainable development. This is the pledge of University of Utara, Malaysia. Management is the embodiment of University of Utara, Malaysia. Management that is based on thought and intellectual, where art, science, and craft meet. The holistic educational ecosystem is not merely to produce alumni, but to lay the foundation for future leaders. Institution of higher learning, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, smart campus, and forward by nature. UUM champions the voice of its students. It is the voice of future intellects.
So as a student, graduating, especially from inclusive to get the students to learn and to absorb knowledge.
Research and innovation by its academic fraternity are undertaken with seriousness, not merely to fulfill the academic requirements, but to be at the forefront in shaping the industry. More than 100 million ringgit worth of research grants invested, and more than 7,000 academic publications in the field of management and business produced in the last 5 years. Facilities and amenities provided feature the latest in smart technology, complementing the tranquility of the lush green campus surroundings. First-class infrastructures within the exquisiteness and splendor of nature showcase the education ecosystems at its best. We believe in developing students holistically that can serve the society and country as its future leaders with the highest integrity and professionalism.
I'm actually happy to see how exactly University of Utara Malaysia have evolved itself to become a highly ranked university.
University Utara Malaysia, over the past 3 decades, has earned its own place by providing the highest quality of education and is marching forward towards achieving greater success and greatness. With the various awards and accreditations received, the future is certain and bodes well for the university. The royal patronage with the Kedah Royal House indeed provides vital publicity for the important work done at the university and allows the enormous achievements and contributions to society be recognized.
UUM is a unique environment where the emphasis of the university is not just purely on academics. In this case, academics, sporting excellence, spiritual excellence, and by then, I guess we could live up to our motto of Ilmu Budi Bakti.
I love UUM, and I'm proud to say that I graduated from UUM.
Ilmu Budi Bakti. We love UUM.
University Utara Malaysia, the eminent management university.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a refreshing break. As we move into our second segment for today, I would like to invite once again Ms. Siti Aisyah to guide us in the second half of this roundtable.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, and welcome to the second session of today's RTD. The first one was actually, for me, I loved it because we discussed a lot of perspectives from political, business, regional. We also touched on upscaling skills, actually, to which I actually want to point it out more for this second slot because we aim to maybe discuss more on supply chain disruptions, the possible impacts, as well as what will be the future opportunities that will be opening for Indonesia and Malaysia, or basically the Asian region. And for the first question would be more, first or two questions would be more on what do us youth should be doing to counter whatever is the ripple effect of whatever trade war that's going on. So my question would be to our dear panelists. How do the youth or the ASEAN youth prioritize future-proof skills, and what would be it? Like from your insights? Maybe if I'm not mistaken, it was Hasman who pointed out Power BI. So like for other skills, maybe anything that you guys want to share as like our participants or like our future leaders today that will be job seekers in maybe 1 or 2 years or maybe 1 or 2 semesters ahead, they would wanna go for it and then upskill themselves. What insights do you guys have? Like for me, I do have a similar point to Hasman actually, Power BI, especially for my sector, supply chain. Power BI and SAP analysis are like one of those skills out there, especially those who wanna go for procurement. And then like for accounting, maybe you guys also for some will also venture into procurement in the accounting fields. Like for me, supply chain, there is also procurement in terms of manufacturing and how do these companies manage suppliers as well as like decision making in terms of purchasing. Oh yes, I think someone
Hi.
raised a hand.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
me. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity, Miss Aisha. So basically, talking about skills, I wouldn't be talking much about skills. I would be talking more on the initiative that we as a youth would work on when, you know, we're trying to get those jobs and, you know, get higher chances of being employed. So basically what I've done, and most of the, great people or great peers that I have, that what their initiative is to do the voluntary internship. Maybe when I talk to my my friends in the local university, this is not something that they have always been doing. But for the UK uni students, internship is not compulsory for us. It's not compulsory, so we can just go on, do master engineering for 4 years and then go back Malaysia without any internship at all. But then for most of the local uni students, I guess most of you guys have the sort of like compulsory internship, period where you have to do those internships. But for us, we have this so-called summer break where we would end our exam by, mid of June. And then after that, we'll go on to, for the summer break until end of September. And that's when we're going to be doing our internship. And that's what I've done during my first year and second year. My first year, mostly on the construction company developer, UAM Sunrise. And then the second year is more on the charge EV charger provider for the electric car. So I would say, other than, building skills, the thing that you need to have is experience. So when you go on to the job interviews, you gotta say that, oh, I've done 2 internships as compared to the other peers that only has done 1 internship. Yeah, so that's gonna prove that, you are better, not better, you are like more experienced, you have more initiative, you are sort of like more proactive kind of students. That's what's more important, when employees see that you are those kind of students that wouldn't just sit down, relax, and do nothing during semester break. Or maybe some other thing is, to have a volunteering stuff, like, helping sort of like now Palestine and Israel issue. So like you have those initiative, or maybe initiative volunteering in terms of sustainability, those stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. My touch up on the being more marketable in terms of job market. Yeah.
If I may add, is it possible? Sorry.
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you. That's a very good point, actually, volunteering. But however, looking back to the CPAC as well, with Mr. It's very, very hard right now to do sort of get into the voluntary internship. So probably, but we are doing it in Indonesia over here. So they would go to industry for over 1 month or maybe 2 months, but it's not that really. The job over there is only do photocopy, and helping them to give a letter to another department. So yeah, over here, but I do think that summer internship is very, very good possibility for in ASEAN region, because we don't have that sort of plan in ASEAN region. But so yeah, I'm very envy with I'm not sure whether it's in Europe, maybe my friends in Australia, if they bored to go with their study, or maybe if they bored with their what we call with a job, they could get a special visa. Is it a working visa? Not working visa. I forgot what the called visa. Is it? They go to Japan when I lived in Japan.
Graduate visa.
No, graduate visa, but I'm forgot. I literally
it's not
forget. Sorry. So yeah, they
Yeah,
could
yeah.
they could postpone the job, or they could defer their study, and then just take for not annually for about 6 months and go working abroad. So it's very good visa actually. It's very good outcome over there. But we don't have it in ASEAN right now. So voluntary opportunity, I've been there before. Unfortunately, in my case, I did insert sort of thing helping with the company, but looking into my environment, my friends and my colleagues over there, all the job is not nothing more than photocopy, and as well what we call with helping make a letter, send a letter to another department, which is they can do it by themselves. I do believe that. But we require more than that. But I think the implementation of summer internship could be a better approach in ASEAN region. So yeah.
All right, that is actually a good perspective to like point out. Like for me, for University Tara Malaysia, we had a career fair before, right? For those who joined, especially those who are in UUM, actually like by asking to the companies what kind of opportunities they would be offering to these fresh graduates or those who are still like pursuing studies like us. Some companies do actually offer like part-time opportunities and all, and I think like it's a similar approach for like these summer voluntary intern opportunities. So actually, the more research we do, there are still companies who offer like job opportunities that we can actually go for during our semester breaks, especially the ones who are like quite long, like for 1 or 2 months. We can go for it. But for those who may come from like suburban areas, it might be quite far from like our area. Like for me, I do live in an area where it's not really industrial based, so it's quite hard to like reach to these areas who's like that's very packed with like industrial opportunities. But for those who are quite like near to these companies, do catch like these opportunities and actually use it well, because like as Hazik actually stated, like these opportunities, like these experiences can actually like allow us to appeal more to the companies. So like for us, those who come from like Asian countries, let us try to seek more opportunities in terms of like part-time. Though the idea of implementing such ideas of voluntary internships during our breaks is actually quite a good, if I were to say, curriculum or something, because like some companies also offer something that is also known as management trainee. But like it depends. Management trainee curriculum is actually quite it depends on the company. Some companies who directly offer to certain companies or like certain universities, they do have like a fixed date where they would call the selected students to go to these companies and gain experiences through rotations. While some who are open, they open management trainee durations after completing their studies. So it's not during studies. So it depends. We have to like search for more. Maybe go for a go on LinkedIn. That's for me from what I've read in terms of opportunities. And I think Hazman and Faris want to add some points on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I'd like to go back to the question, right? So we talk about ripple effect of the trade war to ASEAN countries, right? And then next we go through what are the future-proof skills that the youth need to learn or like develop before to be marketable in this in the market, basically. So I like to give a clarification. So ripple effect of trade wars, it refers to indirect damage done to third party countries. So in this sense, it's not the trade war between Malaysia or US, Malaysia to China, but it's US and China, as we generally know. So the concern here is that first, the FDI, the foreign direct investment, become uncertain. Second, jobs in industry like manufacturing, logistics, and technology are at risk, and also accessing tools like GPUs, cloud services, or AI models become more costly or restricted because of the tariff, right? So let's look at the pros and cons of the shift. I don't want to talk about pros and cons yet. I go straight to the suggestion how youth can counter how youth can counter and like develop a future-proof skill. First is that when I understand that some students are actually really, really proactive. They would want to try something new. They would want to learn something new. But at the same time, we don't want to mindlessly learn new skills. We would want to learn skills that can be helpful to the company. So the first and the most important part is actually to know what does the company need. So in general, if it's a future proof or like in general skills that work globally, I can summarize there's like three. So first is data analytics. So you can use either Python or Power BI like I mentioned earlier. Second, go for cybersecurity. And third, we have to understand the digital supply chain and also the logistics skill. So this is like one of the research that have been done by other like professors before, and then also the youth need to leverage an open source and regional technology, like for example DeepSeek, right? So where we know that it's an open source, you can literally, I mean, as we use abuse this platform, right? So I think in general that's it. And if and I like to add up to previous speakers or panelists where we talk about like internship, right? So last year I did my internship in Deloitte about photocopying and sending letters. So first of all, we have to manage expectations here. So when you apply for internship, always know what are the job scope, right? So if from earlier on the expectations is for you to do photocopying, for you to do letter, I think you can think by yourself, like using your self-conscious, whether you want that job or not, right? So if you think that it's not going to be beneficial for you, then why you go for that internship in the first place? You know that it's going to be a waste, right? So let's say if you apply to these companies, like big companies that you know that as an intern you can make an impact to a project, like you can handle your own project, right? Let's say if you apply to these companies and you didn't get in, you cannot question them, why are they not hiring me? Instead, you have to question yourself. So don't change things that cannot be changed. Like change things that you can control. So improve yourself again. Like I said, upskill yourself. There's a lot of online places, like online platform that can be used to add more certificate to upskills essentially. I think that's it.
Yeah, so I like to continue the point, right? I like to steer back the conversation towards how this is affecting how this is like contributing back to the tariffs, right? So let's circle back. Tariffs affect multinational companies who are based in US. They set up base in ASEAN countries. Going back to the point previously, which is a lot of countries nowadays they set up base in ASEAN countries because it's very attractive because ASEAN countries has very good infrastructure, cheap labor. We all can speak multiple languages, and it's very easy to communicate. So with that in effect, with that in mind, with a lot of MNCs or multinational companies already have set up base in ASEAN countries, now that tariffs are in place, they have to downsize. So this downsizing effect, I don't think that ASEAN countries are ready yet. And this in return, like for example, Deloitte, all these are MNC companies, they are expected to downsize, and the local economy is not ready to take in this excess amount of skill set by the youth, by fresh graduates. So one thing in mind to keep yourself competitive. So I don't want to make this into a career talk. I want to navigate back to the topic at hand, which is tariffs. Just very, very shortly, is try to make yourself more focused as a all-rounder individual, rather than just being an accountant or rather than just being one single person. You have to understand and how to make things in coding as well. So being a programmer, because I'm from a computer science background, I do a lot of projects. Okay, so when we're in university, we tend to forget that the fact that we are actually brushing shoulders with, one of the top 10 professors in the world, top 10 professors in Malaysia, and we tend to not actually engage with the professors themselves. I myself have done a lot of self-initiative with engaging with my professors and lecturers in University Malaya, and thankfully I got like a bunch of freelancing projects. Although it was very difficult, although it is very hard to juggle whilst also studying, I was able to increase my self-worth in terms of connections. So I think the thing that we're all dancing around is that, if you have so much skills, if you have so many certifications, at the end of the day, what makes you different is your connections, your network, because network is your net worth. So if you have all of these certifications, but the HR person has never heard of your name, and then come to another person who has the same certifications as you, but he's heard of that candidate, and also that candidate has things that is very close and very hits home, close to the company's culture or what the company is trying to offer, obviously it's a no-brainer to go for the second candidate, right? So my advice, my very brief advice, touching on making yourself employable, to the viewers out there, try to make and engage with your lecturers. Try to ask like, okay, is there any way I can help with your research? Can I be a research assistant? Can you help me engage with the agencies? Because I've engaged with agencies under the Ministry of Finance indirectly. I didn't know until the end. And that was a huge surprise, because in the end, that also helped me get my job now in PayNet. So circling back, how do we make ourselves more marketable? Just try and engage with many people. No matter how hard you try and you don't think that you're ready, just go in it. Just go into it. Don't be a single individual focusing on accounting. I myself am a computer scientist, but I focus on finance. How do I improve the FPX gateways in Malaysia? How do I increase the adaptability of e-payments? How do I made a whole system to predict if a building is obsolete or not based on built environment theories. These things happen and are picked up through freelancing, and that is also another avenue of making yourself employable. Because I also have a colleague in my graduate training program in PayNet who did a lot of these volunteering things, and I also have a lot of peers in University Malaya who has a lot of background in volunteering, but at the end of the day, they don't get employed. And what makes you more employable, is not the volunteering, but the interactions that you have through volunteering. You might be talking to someone, a director from a company. You might make yourself known. So I'd like to hit the point at home to make yourself more employable is your network. So yeah, that's what I want to say, basically.
I want to add some point before I forget my point. So basically, I agree with two previous speakers. While the internship is quite important to develop the skill and self-development and anything like that, but we have to manage our expectation in internship, because yes, it can polish our CV or our resume, but if we look closer to the activities that we can do during the interview, it's actually nothing big point that we can do during the interview, because take example, if you get the interview in the government, in the Ministry of Finance, let's say, then they will not give you any big scope to do this and that, because maybe the business process in Ministry of Finance is quite restricted, so they will not give you a big task for your internship. That's mean the intern will more likely doing something administrative, something clerical, like copying the document or anything like that. So not so many big scope that we got from the interview. Means we couldn't get more additional skill from that activity. I mean, like from copying, from printing the letter and something like that. But I do agree with the Mr. Faiz or Faris, yeah. While internship is quite important for the youth, for the young people, but what's also really important is creating the community, creating the networking. The young people usually want to join groups where they can learn together, share experiences, and get job or project opportunities. So this is why the networking and the communities is really important. For the example, the coding communities, digital creative groups, and local startups, in this kind of places or in this kind of communities, they can learn new skills, and also they can collaborate and build connection that help them enter the workforce. So besides internship, I think strengthening the communities and networking is a very important key, very crucial key for young not only Indonesian but overall young people to be ready for the digital challenges and job opportunities in the future.
I a bit more. As for me, I would like to say, yeah, all of those points were given by all the speakers, all the panelists are good. But what I would like to stress on is to do it. As for we know right now, a lot of youngsters, they tend to plan ahead, but they never tend to do it. It's just they are planning, but they never ought to do it. That's the first step. It's just not that you need to plan on what you need to build, as we couldn't just be learning new skills every day, some useless skills, but then we need to be planning, but at the same time, we need to do it. We need to actually learn the skill either just scrolling or just notating, oh, I'm going to learn Power BI tomorrow, but then we never do it. So that's going to be the first thing that I will say, that we need to do it, either just wasting a lot of time of planning it. All right. And then second, I will be like to add on, I will agree to make us stand out our connections, our networking. As what I really like the quotes there, our network is our net worth. So technically, it's actually really correct. But in order for us to achieve that, firstly, we must know we need to develop our skill of interpersonal mingling skills. That means we need to know how to communicate first. We need to know how to understand people, because we can't apply the same kind of strategy in communicating to each and every human being, because all of us have different perceptions. For example, some slangs are not available in some countries, such that, as to be simple to put it in a simple way, we must repair on how we engage with humans. That's the first thing. If we don't repair that, we don't work on that, it's going to be so hard for us to build our network. And that's going to be the second thing that I'm going to be mentioning, repairing or just building our interpersonal connection with people by polishing our skills of talking skill, engaging skills, and how do we respect people. And if we want people to give us respect, we need to respect people. So that's the second thing. And then on the third thing that I'm going to be touching, a lot of here we are mentioning about internship, voluntary internship. As for now, as we see the youngsters now, it's not to say it's bad or it's non-doable to actually seek for something that is big, to seek for big company for internship and stuff. But quoting back from what Siti Aisha mentioned here, not to say just we only have internship, we also have part-time jobs. But then youngsters, usually they are selective of it. They just think that part-time job not gonna develop anything. They just see lowly part-time jobs just as an initiative to find money, but not to build skills. But as for me, I have a different view. For an example, being a simple cashier might teach you a lot, either than being an intern at a big company, but just photostating. I will stress on that. By being a cashier, you're not only managing all the finance, you learn how to be responsible on the money. You learn how to take order. You learn how to communicate. You're going to be facing a lot of customers with different attitude every day. So as for me, just taking up a small part-time job that gonna build your skills is better than applying for a big internship in big company just for polishing up your resume, but then it doesn't contribute anything to your skills. I will be highlighting that. It's not bad, but then we need to change that mindset of ours. It's not about big company, it's about big skills. That's what one of my favorite lecturer told me. And I also will address that. Nowadays, it's not about who can work or who wants work. It's about who ready to work. Who's actually ready to work. By saying, even though your resume is such an appealing resume, I will say if you are not ready to work, you can't be working. One of readiness to work, I will say adaptability. So that's all from me, I will say, because why? Just rooting back to our topic, how the tariff actually affected our economics and it actually affected our job opportunities. So we need to have this three things I will address. Do it, and then our interpersonal connection, and also our adaptability. So that's all from me.
Okay, before I continue on maybe pointing out very useful points from our panels, I actually wanna invite Rahmat actually, if you have any points to add out to the discussion before we go through one by one, and then maybe open another layer of discussion for today's second session of the RTD.
All right. So maybe I would like just a little bit more. Yeah. So, but from my own country's perspective, yeah, I mean, all of these are really insightful and actually, for me, it can also start in the education. Yeah, but in my country, I feel like the education system, it still relies on the theory-heavy curriculum, something like that. So the schools in here and universities here, they often emphasize on academic theory rather than the hands-on skills. And then leaving the graduates also came unprepared for the practical job requirements because, like everyone said earlier, yeah, we can get these experiences everywhere through internship, part-time jobs, courses, and so on, maybe daily life practicums and activities, and so educations. Yeah, and I feel like the governments, yeah, they still rely heavily on the theory-heavy curriculum, and then I feel like the vocational trainings in Indonesia, like some or maybe almost most of them, is still outdated. So that's why the SMK or like the Sekolah Menengah Kejuruan or vocational graduates in Indonesia, they had the highest unemployment rate, triple that of the elementary graduates, because the training modules have not kept pace with Industry 4.0 demands. And yeah, meanwhile, the students, we as an individual, we need to raise our realization, our awareness about what should we do in these digitalized generations. But then again, the government, they need also to play a vital role in improving and enhancing our education systems and also in providing us the best way for us to grow. So yeah, it's two ways, cause and effect. Yeah, yeah, with two parties. Yeah, so that's my opinion. And then maybe we can talk about what is happening in the supply chain. Yeah, because I think it's still an interesting topic to discuss. So as you know, that there are workforce skills and gap and high tech growth in nowadays world. So the push towards Industry 4.0, like I mentioned earlier, Internet of Things, robotics, AI, they collided with my country's legacy education system, which emphasized theory over hands-on skills. And then the effect, yeah, Indonesian firms only have below 500 engineers trained in sub 14 nm chip design, something like that, in 2024, versus compared to Malaysia. Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, they have around 2,500 engineers and around more than 1,000 engineers in Thailand. So it's limiting our local R&D and back-end capacity. And yeah, like I said earlier, the vocational high school graduates, there are a lot of vocational high schools in Indonesia, and more than 102,000 graduates per year in electronics and mechatronics. But the fact it's only 20% that meets the industry standards without further retraining. And well, the results, yeah, only 30% vacancy rate for the entry-level automation or data analytics role. So then again, this is the issues that we really need to look at. And why this matter? Because protracted skills gaps may cause foreign investors to bypass Indonesian sites, and then they will reinforce our brain drain as the talent migrates to Malaysia or Singapore. And this is totally important because filling these gaps is essential to capture the projected around US $4 billion in mid-range revenue across ASEAN in 2024. So with Indonesia's share currently around 5%. So in my personal opinion, while digital scholarships and vocational incentives from the government helps, yeah, like we mentioned earlier, my country still needs deep curriculum reform, shifting from the rote learning to competency-based training in IoT, data analytics, robotics, because otherwise it was simply injecting funds into training programs that won't bridge the gap between academic output and also industry requirements. Yeah, so I'll try to relate the education and what is the issue, especially in the supply chain right now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Rahmat, and actually thank you to all panelists. Like maybe like we can go through one by one first, especially to the participants or to the viewers. You may take notes because like these are such valuable insights that we are actually getting from like perspectives in US, like those who are or those who have experience in industries, those who have been mingling with people all around the world, people with connections, net worth, like networking is your net worth. It's something that's like a good quote that has been going around and is actually something that we have to like hold on to. So like our panelist Haziq pointed out that experience is something that we should be focusing on, and then volunteering work, volunteering intern opportunities, and then that is something that we actually can like go for, like seek for. We have to seek the opportunities because opportunities just don't come by. Not like you are not like given, not everyone is privileged enough to be given such opportunities. Sometimes you have to do a little more work and then go for and then go and seek it for ourselves, the opportunities. And then Izudin as well, he also pointed out there is actually a gap. There are some countries or some companies do offer these opportunities, but these opportunities do not really live up to the expectations. So like some companies, maybe they offer internship opportunities like voluntarily, like for like 1 to 2 months only, but then job scope wise, it's not really upskilling. And then for Hazman, actually quite like some strong points for us to really hold on to, because like be strategic and learning skills that can actually value add and be demanded by the companies is actually something that we have to do. Like learning knowledge, like learning or adding knowledge to like our basically during our undergraduate studies and actually like upskilling, it's something very good. But we have to also be strategic, because we are like we do have constraints in time. Like for some of us, we are very active in other positions and as well. So being strategic is actually maximizing whatever opportunities we have to really learn something that's actually value added and demanded in today's world. And then always know the job scope. Actually, this is actually a good advice. Like knowing the job scope before entering the whatever opportunities that is given to us is actually really important, because we really have to know what actually that we want, and then is the opportunity really giving us what are we actually seeking for. That's really important for us to look at. And then Faris also shared on engaging with our professors, and networking is actually your net worth. Actually, like one of the like industrial professional that I've once talked to also mentioned this: connections is very important. Yes, through those experiences, like volunteering experiences, we can actually seek a lot of like knowledge, and then as well as upskilling through it, but also building like interpersonal skills, as mentioned by Musakim as well. Interpersonal skills is very important. How we engage with people, how we brush our skills in terms of that, like how we mingle with other people, how we learn from them, is also important through the skills that we are trying to venture ourselves in. So those are something that we have to take note on. Not only the experiences, not only be strategic, but also know what are you wanting to learn, as well as connect with people, learn from these people. Because like maybe for like the closest example I would give, one of the lecturers that I was close during one of the class in my course, because like I always like ask questions and all, and it is also someone that I respect in my school. He offered me a research assistant position before, but due to like restrictions in terms of commitment, I had to turn down the offer. But then again, this has also been like some of the scenarios or some of the stories that my seniors also tell. If like we really engage with these professors, and then we learn from them, we really like humble ourselves and like be connected with them, and then learn as much skills as possible, not only in class but also outside of our classes, actually opportunities would come to us. But again, we have to know what are the intentions and all, as well as we have to also seek and be strategic in terms of the opportunities that we want to seek. And then a fresh perspective from Rahmat actually would be the government perspective, what the government should be doing. Yes, our youth are like upskilling and all, but again, are the opportunities that given as much? Because in terms of TVET, like for Malaysia, it's TVET, and like for some, for like other countries, it's like vocational training. Or it's something similar. The curriculum should be updated because, like for students who might not have the privilege to like continue to higher education, they might go for like vocational training to really like try to change their fates, right? So the curriculum, like maybe for like from our youth, we really hope that the government, like from any countries, would really update the curriculum of these vocational trainings to also much uplift these youth to really be ready, career ready, because it's something that a point that Mustakim also pointed out. We have to be ready to work. It's one of the advices from the lecturers. All right, okay. To like wrap up a bit for the first question in terms of like upscaling and all, I think like these points, especially coming from a lot of perspectives, should be taken note of. And again, be strategic as well as also be humble enough to just venture a lot of opportunities out there, and then be rigorous enough to seek for opportunities that may come and like not maybe not that clear, like not really in front of us, but maybe something that we have to seek for. Okay, second question before like ending the second session, because we are actually running out of time. But again, the good news is that we are really using the time to really look into different perspectives. I really want to see whether in terms of supply chain disruptions or something, that a point that is given by Rahmat actually on supply chain disruptions, what would be like in terms of like maybe Malaysia or like US or Indonesia, what is actually happening that is disrupting our supply chain in effect after the Trump announcement especially, and then what would be like especially to these youth, what would be the best ways for us to see this as a problem, not only a problem, but a problem for us to like see and then do something about it, like in terms of our context, and then maybe strategy wise, what's in it for us after that? Anyone wants to share? Okay, maybe I can start. Okay, for like Malaysia, we are very like industrial based, so like very heavy on petroleum. We also are quite active in semiconductor exports or imports. As to why, when it comes to these tariffs, it's really affecting us. So, like in terms of the youth, we do want to like seek whether like multinational companies, as discussed before, like do these like manufacturing companies that are multinational really ready to actually like offer us jobs in like these companies? And like for like, what about Indonesia? What are like what are the industries that is like dominated by Indonesia and it's actually affected now after the tariff announcement by Trump? Are there any insights on this? Or maybe US itself? What is disrupted?
If I could chip in to the conversation in
Yeah.
terms of Malaysia at least, for the semiconductors and all that, right? You mentioned, it's a very good point to bring up, as well as the implications of the operations cost for most websites, for most AI applications. Like for example, I'm pretty sure most of you most of you use ChatGPT. Some of you might subscribe to ChatGPT. But at the same time, because of the tariffs and how it affects the supply chain, it affects semiconductors productions. Malaysia actually has collaboration with Intel and AMD, but at the end of the day, these two companies end up relying on components. So these components power websites, powers databases, powers software, everything lah, even WebEx, it's being powered by hardware itself. So if the hardware cost increases, therefore these services subscription based, most services will most probably change to a subscription based model, and these subscriptions will probably be very costly. For example, ChatGPT still hasn't increased their pricing, but as you know, Google specifically, they offer their Gemini chatbot only for like the enterprise, the highest tier of the subscription for Google One. Initially, it was in another tier for subscription, which is cheaper, but they have indirectly changed it from another subscription what do you call it phase, I guess, tier, sorry, subscription tier, to another higher tier because of their recent release of Gemini 2.5. So these are the things that most of us don't realize, as well as obviously, our smartphones will be more expensive, so on and so forth lah. So as a livelihood of a youth living in this current trade war, I feel like as a Malaysian, it will be harder for us to have more luxuries. We will need to be more smart in our spending. We will need to take into account a lot of things when buying new phones. For example, we need to take into account whether or not the phone will be supported or get the newest update by Android or rather iOS if it's going to be outdated by within 7 or 10 years. Most people in the tech industry, they in terms of gaming, they don't end up upgrading their hardware since 2017 because of the rising cost of GPUs. So this will be mimicked upon the normal consumer, which is smartphones. Smartphone prices have hiked up like insane within the 10 years. Like one simple smartphone, like iPhone, the latest iPhone costs like 4,000 ringgit, which is like crazy to think about. Like that doesn't even match our fresh graduate salaries here. So that is indirectly how it will affect us. The supply chain will increase, the components will rise in cost, and that will also, affect us in terms of buying our phones, subscribing to maybe internet subscriptions. Our everyday lives will be inherently affected, and normal living costs will increase. And I think that calls for a more financially literate youth in ASEAN itself.
Okay, that's in terms of supply chain disruptions, because like yes, the prices of for like these softwares or AI software like Gemini or like ChatGPT is bound to increasing costs, especially like as well as like for us, we in this digital era, of course phones or other devices are necessary, so we do need to be using it, and then like we have to, in terms of facing like these costs, increasing costs, is gonna be a burden for us use. So in terms of that, we do hope that after this 90 days negotiation wise, it would be on our side. The trades, the regulations, the policies after this, excuse for my technical error, just for a moment. Okay, coming back. Can you guys hear me? Okay, all right. Okay, just as a wrap up for the second session as well as our whole RTD, actually, because we have run out of time. But again, as the lead panelist for today's RTD, I am really grateful for today's discussion, because in terms of, we have touched on a lot of perspectives, including, again, the last part will be the supply chain disruption and how is it going to impact us in the near future, and again, dependency on devices, as well as having to face these increasing costs. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I really hope, and I think like a lot of us are hoping that the negotiation terms after this will be on our side, and then like our region, like the Asian region, will also be ready to lessen the dependency on the US markets as well. I think that wraps up, and I hope like all these amazing points, amazing inputs that we have discussed in today's RTD have been jotted down by our viewers and participants. And again, once again, from my side, I apologize for any of my shortcomings. And I do thank all panelists for your contributions. And I do hope in the future that we'll be meeting each other again. That's all from me. Thank you again, and salam biruwarna. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, Our roundtable discussion has now ended. Once again, we would like to thank Ms. Siti Aisha binti Kamaruddin for leading the roundtable session for today. We would also like to thank all of our panelists for your great participation in our roundtable discussion. Before we proceed, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge one of our panelists, Mr. Hasman, who has unfortunately departed early from our program due to urgent matters that need his attention. Now, let us proceed to the commentary session from our appointed observers. Kindly be reminded that for each observer is allocated a maximum of 10 minutes to share your observations and feedback. So to begin the ball rolling, we would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Azharuddin bin Ali to deliver his commentary. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Assalamu alaikum and good night. First of all, I listened closely the discussion from all the panelists, and it really fruitful and also insightful. So basically, we want to talk a bit on the impact of the from liberation tariff. So even though if you're talking about the impact to the economic outlook, basically we're going to see, the impact from the tariff and also non-tariff. But specifically, I believe all of us really keen to see how the tariff strategy made by Trump actually give the economic implication. Specifically, when we're talking about economic, definitely we are talking about very important for us to have, the stability, and then we don't want us to expose to, very uncertain economic environments. So once we come across as what being happen throughout the world, definitely trade got to do with the uncertainty as the only thing that I would say a real certainty, which is since early April, we can see that the economists and also analysts, they are very struggle to produce projections amid the unprecedented tariff issue. At the end of the day, the thought most have been pointing in decidedly gloomy directions, which is the instability we're going to give a big impact to the economic. And actually, we are really worried that they are going to be full-blown trade war between China and also US. But somehow or other, after what happened on the 14th April, actually, since early of April, which is Trump imposed the reciprocal tariff, and then on the 14th April, we feel a bit relief because where US actually announced on the tariff pause with several countries pending trade talk for up 19 days. And then on the 12th May, it become more clear to us that the situation, even though uncertain, but there will be less tension on the full blown on the trade war because US actually reduced on specific critical sectors, including tariff that they're going to impose to China. And the overall implication to the economic outlook, which is first, definitely we can see how this uncertainty, which is US and also China agreement have rolled back, and then the growing confidence that US and China trade war might not be and extensive as had been feared. And then what we can say that, the economic uncertainty remain, extraordinarily high, but the policy um, and political trajectories have become much less, uh, you know, uh, unstable, which is you can see that from what happened in the economic outlook, we really want to see how, the economic implication first. Definitely the uncertain will drag us to economic downturn. First and foremost, the impact from this tariff, you can see what happened to the rise of the cost of doing business. And what we can see, we are a bit, worried on the higher inflation, but not only inflation, but at the same time, we also worried on the stagflation. So these two things are really worried because of the, the impact from the tariff that being imposed by US, which is, as the tariff could rise, the prices on, imported goods, increasing costs for business, and at the same time, it going to affect that, badly on customer, which is beside, the inflations, as I mentioned just now, the stagflation risk is clearly one of the things that we're really afraid, which is it's more worse than inflation, which is this, I would say the plus inflation plus with, slow economic growth. And this slow economic growth will reduce the trade, and at the end of the day, we're afraid it's going, to drag to the economic recession. From the implication, second economic implication that we can, suffer from this trade war, definitely the sharper global economic slowdown. So we can see throughout, the entire value chain, which is the reduced trade volume definitely will take place. And we can see, the trade figures, the surplus, and also trade not happen on the first quarter. And out of sudden, we can see most of the goods get stuck at port and so forth. Some of the manufacturing company, what they do, they slow down the production, and this, something that really worried because of the recession would affect definitely job as well as investment delay, and so the market crash. Okay, the what will happen to the market share, and as well as we afraid the currency also will be very unstable. So all of this will lead to the lower consumer demand as disposable income getting shrink.
Dr. Azharuddin, is there anything you want to add on? Because we still have a remaining time of 4 minutes before your time ends. Is there anything more you would like to add? Hello, Dr. Azharuddin, are you there? Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait a minute as there is some technical errors. Ladies and gentlemen, due to some technical errors, we will now proceed the commentary from observers to our second observer. So with that, I would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Harry bin Muhammad Nasir to share his reflections and observations. Dr. Harry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. MC. You hear me? Yes? Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good evening. Good night to all respect panelists, guests, and Dr. Azharuddin as my fellow observer. Okay, let me first say well done to all the panelists. I think you have done an impressive job in discussing global economic topics. Actually, that's not easy. Actually, especially for young minds. Okay, I can see a lot of research and effort behind the presentation. Okay, I would like to share a few observations from my perspective, especially from the point of view of the audience. I make myself as an audience and the need to connect to complex global issues to our local Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand context. Okay, actually, as I listened to you guys at the beginning, the panelists begin the talk with the Trump trade war and US raising tariff, am I right? And then that's fair. Of course, it's a big turning point in global trade. But after listening to a few seconds, I started asking, actually, how does these trade wars really affect us in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand? So the most important thing, what does it mean for young Malaysians? So I'm looking forward to listen to more discussion on that. But yes, of course, we do agree that tariffs are not just about politics. They affect the price, they affect the jobs, they affect the investment. What you the panelists said just now, when the US put tariff on China and China respond, global companies start looking for other countries to shift production, like Malaysia, and countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand become more attractive alternative. So perhaps I think with this politics may seem immature, as mentioned by our panelists just now, or political driven, but of course the impact is real. Okay, and sometimes it opens new doors for us. That I think I'm looking forward to listen what is actually real effect on us on this discussion. Perhaps because we need more discussion on this, maybe in the next session, because I think after that beginning of Trump trade wars, most of the panelists raise is actually the issues of layoff. I noticed that much of the discussion today is actually reflected a deeper concern about the future market and career prospect. Of course, and rightly so, with the automation, economic uncertainty, and global competition, it's understandable that many young people like yours, I think most of you as a student, and then some of fresh graduate, I think Mr. Faris, and I think another one is actually is a fresh graduate, and then you are actually an employee already. But most of us feel anxious about where we should fit in the near future. Yes, this is exactly what we need to start preparing now. By the panelists share just now about upskilling, staying at the table, and being open to new types of careers, which is maybe I didn't exist 10 years ago. Maybe in the near future we got a new career. So, okay. From my open of view, I think I would like to share something to you as a takeaways. Number one, to be a good, maybe to add on what the panelists say just now. Number one, we need to upskill fast and smart. So now is the time to invest in skill that future proof. That's mean the future proof. Not 10 years from now, it's now. We need fast and smart. Like some Mr. Hazman and Mr. Faris and Mr. Rahmat said just now, learn as much as you can digital tools, AI tools, as much as you can. Okay, number two, perhaps the worries of maybe Miss Anum just now about your career in the future. your environment in Indonesia. So I think my second I want to share with you is change your mindset. Nowadays, I think the youngsters don't wait. You have to create. Maybe myself, our parent generation mostly look for jobs. But for your generation, young generation, you now need to create jobs. So think beyond getting hired. Like Mr. Faris just said just now, you have to be a all-rounder nowadays. Start being with freelancing works, selling digital product maybe, and then perhaps building a content on TikTok or Instagram, not just for fun, but with purpose, like financial, education, the software development, things like that. Okay. So my advice is as a youngster nowadays, being relevant in the world that is, is changing so fast. Okay, of course, a lot of worry on your future. Of course, you need to focus on your human skills too. Yes, technology, whatever now, AI is important, but you don't ignore the soft skill as well. This is from the my observation. You need, of course, I think here your panelists, the panelists, and then I think is you have a lot of good communication there. I think the panelists as well have adaptability is good. Problems, I don't know. The problem solving is something you need to learn time to time. Is you need an experience as well. But the skills nowadays, you need to have that problem solving skill immediately before you go into the real world. And of course, you need to get ready in the market as well to be a good emotional intelligence as well. So this is you need to prepare by, I think this kind of session today is a good platform for you to learn, to increase your experience, to learn about emotional intelligence. Okay, my final advice is be curious, be fast, be brave. Don't wait for things to stabilize. I think we sometimes expect things to change for us, but don't wait. I think don't wait for the government, don't wait the university or the company to train you. Start now, even a small step. So that means you have to make a step for yourself. You need to think critically, use the technology wisely, even though Mr. Rahmat just said just now, actually the education is quite slow, something like that. Okay, and of course, as you mentioned just now, in internship, you just do copying whatsoever. And of course, sometimes when you do copying in your internship, you can learn something as well. Okay, willing to adapt the things, more be observant of a lot of things. So sometimes being observant, you can learn a lot of things as well. Okay, I think that's all from me lah. Overall, I'm proud of the level of discussion shown today. I think as a student and some of you as a fresh graduate, actually you are taken on the sometimes you actually start with a complex global economic issues. You are saying with the confident, but I noticed that much of the focus actually today is more on the challenges and worries surrounding the current situation, which is understandable. But as we speak to the fellow youth in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, I think this is the listener today, the guest today. So I believe it's equally important to go actually on discussion one step further lah. Maybe I wish to hear from the panelists, maybe the young mind to explore the solution, propose fresh ideas, or maybe inspire action, what to do actually. Okay, so to end up my comment, yes, global economic shift can feel distant, but they are already impacting our cost of living, our job prospect, and our future plans. So you guys as future leaders, I think your role is not just to understand this trend, but to help others make sense of them, and more importantly, to lead the way forward with creativity, resilience, and hope. So keep up the good work, guys, and thank you again for such an insightful session today. Thank you. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Dr. Harry for the insightful remarks. As I can see in the chat box, I see Dr. Azharuddin. Dr. Azharuddin, are you there? Would you like to
Yes,
continue?
I'm here. I'm very sorry. I believe my computer overheat. All of a sudden, it's shut down, and I believe that it will be very interesting for me to share a bit with you guys. And I believe we already know it's very important for us to see the stability. Stability is very important, so we try and not to expose to very uncertain environment, which is you can see from the tariff impact, what you can see potential the first level impact, what we can see basically on the investor may divert and move to less exposed country. So we are going to see how the bloc are going to working together. And so this trade war actually at the end of the day will bring more disaster to the humankind. Even though when we look at how the system change a little bit, for example, it's really clear to us that it marked systemic change in the global order, which is you can see the era of the rule-based globalization and also free trade seem to be over. If what US did um, to impose this tariff reciprocal, and we are also entering to a new phase where one that is more arbitrary, protectionist, and also very dangerous in order to protect US economic. Trump basically send a signal. He not really care what happened to the rest of the world, even though it's very clear to us that for decades US was the bedrock for the free market economies of the world, but they are the one also champions the free trade and led effort to build multilateral trading system, anchor by clear rule and also norm, where countries could achieve win-win benefit through trade. But somehow or other we can see US try to go for a unilateral. It's not good, especially for the small country. Big country they can still enjoy economy of scale, but when we're talking about a small country will be affectedly, and also the developing country. So it's not good for the better future of the youth, especially. And even though it's pretty clear to us that even though WTO system to us not perfect, but somehow or other there are a lot being taken into consideration to improve further the system itself, especially if you look what UN tried to do, basically by the introduction of the SDGs 17 goal, plus how the company, the corporation being asked to become more responsible, especially to look into ESG. And when we look what happened, it seemed to us that the poverty issue, and then inclusivity, and also the very important thing of we take into consideration of the all parties in making the decision, which is we talking about the inclusivity and also the equality. So all of these things need to be addressed. We not just focus to achieve the economic prosperity alone or solely, which is just a focus on the profit, but at the same time we also looking at the very important thing that we have to react, which is to look into the planet and also people. So now we're talking about the social, uh, responsibility, as well as when we come to the economic, definitely the system need to be improved further. And I believe the what happened to the world lately, we need to make the youth, especially, uh, really alert with what happened surrounding. They have to be really sensitive with what the move that need to be done, especially try to look at the outlook. So we have to really focus what's going to happen, especially now when we're talking about the trade war. And the trade war then goes beyond. Then trade war, it can be, you can see what happened to the geopolitics and so forth. And this will be not good for the prosperity of the world. And as a youth, what you have to do, you have to prepare yourself, especially when we look into the AI, which is how the trade war linked with AI, and how the issue of EV and so forth. We're going to see how the world power try to make sure they are going to win the race, but at the expense of others. So these are the things that you have to take into consideration. You have to be very patient to really promote what the thing that are being aligned to us, especially in terms of promoting triple bottom line, people, planet, and also um, profit. I think that's all from me. Sorry for the interruption just now. And as what Dr. Harry said, it really fruitful, discussion. And it's supposed to be, the thing that you champion, guys. Because of what? Because the future uh, fall on your hand, and you have to actively participate in this environment. We don't simply, just become a riders, just listen, and make people, just ignore you. So you have to be actively involved in the process, and you guys have to make your voice listen by the leaders, because the leaders, they are not your generation. Okay, they are going to leave soon, but the young and also future generation are the one who are going to bear all the consequences made by the elder generation. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Dr. Azharuddin and also Dr. Harry for your insightful observations and remarks made during this commentary session. So I believe that we've come to the end of our roundtable discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take this moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your presence, your insights, and your active engagement throughout the event. To end this program, I would like to call upon our program director, Ms. Aisha binti Nur Akbar, to give a few words. Welcome, Ms. Aisha.
Test. All right, okay. Just a few words before we close. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening. As we come to the end of this session, I want to express my sincere appreciation to everyone who made this event so meaningful, and to our distinguished panelists, thank you for your time and your valuable insights. I have personally gained a lot from today's discussion, and I believe many of us feel the same. And just as Dr. Harry mentioned before, it's truly impressive to see young minds engaging deeply with such critical topics. And to our respected observers, Associate Professor Dr. Azharuddin and also Dr. Harry, your presence today means a lot to us. And also to Dr. Harith, Novac-Tissa Advisor, who is watching us live. And thank you for your continued support and encouragement. And to Ms. Azah, our President of Novac-Tissa and our dedicated organizing dedicated organizing committee of Voices of Youth Perspective on Global Economic Shift. I am truly grateful for your commitment and also for your commitment behind the scenes. And to everyone joining us through our streaming platforms, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Also, a special note to Mr. Hazman, who had to leave earlier due to another commitment. I truly appreciate the time he spent with us and also for his contribution for today's session. And yeah, it is truly inspiring to be surrounded, even online, by so many like-minded youth who care about the future. And yeah, that's all from me. Thank you once again, and I hope the ideas we shared today will continue to grow beyond this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Ms. Aisha for your heartwarming speech. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we can see, this program is not just a platform for dialogue, but it's a space for reflection, collaboration, and shared growth. From this session, we've shared passionate ideas, challenging questions, and thoughtful solutions, as I can see. And what I feel like is the most importantly, we've witnessed the power of youth voices shaping global conversation. So to our dear panelists from across the globe, your contributions today have shown that leadership is not defined not just by age, but by courage, curiosity, and commitment to positive change. Ladies and gentlemen, for our audience out there who are watching our live streaming in social media, do scan the QR code attendance and feedback form displayed on the screen, as it is mandatory for you to get your merits. The QR code and link will also be provided in the WhatsApp group and throughout social media streaming. Kindly be reminded that the QR attendance and feedback form will only be open for 10 minutes. An additional reminder to all panelists and observers, we kindly invite you to remain after this session for a photography session between us. To close our discussion with energy and care, here's a poem to celebrate the insight we share. Voices.